Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I am grateful to talk about something that is important to me and many Albertans, and that's the importance of parents. It may seem obvious that parents are important to Albertans, but that's why I stand here today discussing our amendment to Section 16. It's not...
Amendment A6.
Amendment A6. It's not clear to me and concerned parents about the place of parents in our education system. Traditionally, we have always respected the fact that the most important influence and educators of children are their parents. It seems unquestionable to me, but that is why we've seen hundreds of families protesting at the legislature. You know what, Mr. Speaker, someone is questioning the authority over their children. Mr. Chair, parents are the greatest source of stability in a child's life. Mom and dad are like water and sunshine to a growing plant. When there is plenty, the plant thrives and it grows like an unstoppable force. Cut off the plant from the water and the sunshine, and you get something that not only ceases to grow, but it withers away. Parents that homeschool their kids are showing a supreme commitment to their kids. These parents are upset with the preamble of the Education Act because it interferes in what they can teach their children. The preamble speaks to how important parents are, but you know what, Mr. Chair, it seems like lip service. When it comes to people's children, they do not respect lip service. They respect action. But that failed, so we're now trying with this amendment. The amendment proposed by the member for Airdrie-Chestermere, A6, was important on its own, but especially in the light of Section 16. Because Section 16 puts the lessons of homeschooling parents, Christian parents, Catholic parents, parents in general, Mr. Chair, at the mercy of the human rights tribunes. The amendment does make the situation clearer. Parents are the ultimate authority in a child's life, especially when it comes to their education. It is clear that it is a parent's right to teach morality, beliefs, and their sense of right and wrong. Quite frankly, Mr. Speaker, I'm confused. A parent that homeschools or takes time to find a specific school for the kid proves to me how much they care. So why are we undermining devoted parents? As the Minister of Children and Youth Services, and I spend a lot of time consulting those with addictions, the last thing you ever want to do is undermine people that care. And Section 16 undermines the authority of parents, and it undermines the authority of people that care. Something my parents taught me was to keep things simple. All too often these days, government keeps creating more and more laws and more regulations and checklists that bog us down and complicate things. Now, I've heard in this House how out of date the old School Act was. It seems like the government is throwing the baby out with the bathwater. There was a lot of good legislation in the old Act, and there's no question that there's a lot of good legislation in the new Act. And I can refer to several pieces in the new Act, and I like to remind the government that the bullying section that they have in the old Act was actually my bullying bill that they've now incorporated into the new Act that many members of the government at the time when I brought the bullying bill forward defeated and spoke against us in this legislature. For parents that homeschool or send their kids to independent schools, they're worried about the new diversity language in the new Education Act. The old language was clear. Don't promote racial or ethnic superiority or persecution, religious intolerance, or social change through violent action or disobedience of law. As long as parents met these guidelines, they were free to teach their children as they saw fit. And you know what? We didn't have any problems. The new language scares parents because it drags in the Human Rights Commission. Quite frankly, the behaviour of the Human Rights Commission in this province and across Canada has been discredited. They have been used to censor people's freedom of speech that has offended some people. No hatred promoted, just opinions that have ruffled feathers. No one ever was hurt physically, but people were dragged through the commissions, which aren't even real courts of law. To me, Mr. Chair, these issues clearly show a difference between the government and my caucus on education and parents. Mr. Chair, I believe in the grassroots, that the people are where we draw our power and where we draw our guidance. Parents are the foundation of education, and Albertans are the foundation of what makes this great province. I don't think that there is a belief on the other side of the House, Mr. Chair. I believe the belief is that the governing party and the government in general are the driving forces in this province. Top-down ordering is how this government operates. If they get it wrong, then they consult. I wonder what consultation was done with homeschoolers. What consultation was done with the Christian parents? What consultation was done with the Catholic parents? Or was the consultation done with a few choice friends that nod their head when the minister asks them questions? Minister, you were the one that first brought them,
Why are 2,000 people on the steps of the legislature?
Mr. Chair, I love it. I love it when we're debating a piece of legislation.
You always blame us.
Honourable member Fish Creek has a flaw, and procedure is addressing
the Minister
the
of Education has the opportunity to stand up and speak in the legislature. What the Minister of Education is doing is not what he should be sending, is showing how disrespectful he is to the parents in this province, and quite frankly, he's not showing a lot of leadership to the children in this province. I do want for a moment to recognize the importance of teachers in Alberta. They work day in and day out to make sure our kids have a great education. Alberta is the envy of the world in large part because of the wonderful teachers we have. But we cannot forget that parents are the moral compass. Morality comes from the home to the school, not the other way around. I hope that this government sees the light on this issue. We need to support the great parents that we have in this province, and they can't be taken for granted. We cannot assume. We all know what happens when we assume. I urge the House to recognize the essential nature of mom and dad and the growth of their children and their education. We need to recognize that parents are paramount in educating their children. Mr. Chair, I can't recall, to be honest with you, as a sitting member of this legislature, for a long time, quite frankly, the last time that I have received so many emails, so many phone calls, so many letters in regards to an issue. And I think the member from Airdrie-Chestermere brought it up as we spent many hours in the legislature speaking, and I think both of us have come to the conclusion the last time that happened was the royalty. And we at that time received, and I'm sure as you did, Speaker, as a member of the government, hundreds of letters. I have received letters, emails, phone calls, and I want to read one of those into the House, if I can. And this letter was actually written to the Minister, the Solicitor General, and the member from Airdrie. And I'm not going, I know we can't read names, but I'm going to read this as per the letter, verbatim. Dear Jonathan, I'm aware that the Education Minister has thrown a little bone to the people of Alberta, assuming that making a small change in the wording of the preamble of the bill will make everything all better. We all know that the preamble is only words, an introduction, and has absolutely no legal force. The words of the bill itself are what is law. Regardless of what the Premier says to the media or what any other Alberta PC politician states when you say it will be fine and not to worry, once the bill passes, and it must be enforced. If the Alberta government does not enforce it, as the Education Minister stated 2 weeks ago at a rally at the Alberta Legislature, then the Alberta government, in fact, will be breaking the law. Can you please explain to me, Jonathan, what plan the Alberta government has in place to manage/monitor all people of Alberta to ensure that they're not breaking the law? The reference to the Alberta Human Rights Act has absolutely no business in the Education Act. To my knowledge, no other Canadian province or American state makes such a reference in the Education Act. It is my opinion the Premier of Alberta has enshrined in it the new bill, as she is a human rights lawyer and feels it is her right as the boss to push her personal agenda that will negatively affect the people of Alberta for decades to come. For this, I am deeply saddened, not only for my children or future grandchildren, but for all the citizens of Alberta. Why not remove 6 simple words from Section 16 of this bill? These 6 simple words are, and the Human Rights Act. Why is the Alberta provincial government digging its heels on such a simple solution? Now, Mr. Chair, I know my time is limited, so I'm not sure how much time I have left.
4 minutes.
More than 8 minutes.
8 minutes? Okay. The Alberta Human Rights Commission and its tribunals have a proven Alberta history to be intolerant of Christians who speak according to their faith. If the Alberta Human Rights Commission is in itself a direct attack on all faiths because the beliefs of all faiths are different than those of the Alberta Human Rights Commission, therefore there is no protection whatsoever for homeschoolers or any faith-based school with this new act. No religious freedom. It is also my belief, Jonathan, that as a lawyer yourself and as the Solicitor General of Alberta and our MLA, that you would already know of this. I am here to plead.
Honourable Member, I just want to remind you, you cannot refer to honourable members by name directly or indirectly.
All right, I'm sorry. I was going from a ruling that went on this afternoon in regards to the Minister of the Education referring to
It's good for the goose, right?
the member of Eritrea, Chestermere. So what's good for the goose, Mr. Chair, is good for the gander. So if you're going to be ruling that I cannot use someone's name, then I think it's important that you should have made the same ruling this afternoon when someone was quoting directly from
Continue with the bill. You should not challenge the chair.
I'm not challenging the chair, Mr. Chair. I'm trying to get a clarification.
Please carry on the bill.
You made your point.
I am here to plead with you, MLA from, where is he from?
Minister of Justice.
Minister, Solicitor General, and the member from Acadia, or wherever you're from, to go against your party and vote no to the changes that have been proposed to date with the new Education Act. I know there is only one more reading of the bill, and if it's not voted down, it will pass. If it passes, then parental rights will have been taken away by the state, and the people of all faiths will no longer have freedom. Alberta's current model is strong and free, and it will be needed to change to something like weak and controlled. If this happens, then we no longer live in a democracy in Alberta, as the state now has control. I can think of several countries I could effectively compare us to, none of which I would care to live in. And then it goes on to say, the member from Calgary, Acadia, you stated to me in several emails and telephone conversation that you yourself are a Christian. You've also indicated that you have teachers in your family as well as homeschoolers. If this is the case, then you must, in all good conscience, vote no to this bill. How can you begin to look your family in the eye, tell them that you are voting yes to this bill, and convince it that it's best for everyone? If this bill passes,
John,
are you personally prepared to deal with the repercussions for your future children or grandchildren? If this is the legacy you want to leave in Alberta's history books, once your political career is over? As I've mentioned to you on several occasions, I am praying for the provincial government leaders to do what is right and just. All citizens of Alberta, and for all of you to remember the roots this province was built on. Thank you, Calgary Acadia, for your time. Sincerely, and it's signed off. Mr. Chair, that's just one of many, and I could go on and on and on and read into the record emails we've gotten. I just want to read another one. Heather, can I say that, or can I say the member of Calgary Fish Creek? My husband, Ken, has asked me to forward to you a copy of the letter that he has sent to the Calgary Herald last evening. Whether it gets published or not, it reflects our very strong concern with the anti-religion, anti-family values intended on a part of this legislation. Bringing the Human Rights Commission to police/enforce this act, it is bizarre, irrational, and dangerous. It is a direct threat to silence and intimidate well-meaning parents and schools who may object to what is being forced down children's throats by an agenda driven by bureaucrats and politicians. The costs are inherently unfair of the Human Rights Commission process, enough to discourage all but the independently wealthy. So then it goes on to the letter in regards to what my constituent wrote in regards into the Calgary Herald. Mr. Chair, it goes on and on and on. We've received a media release from the Alberta Catholic School Trustees Association questioning Bill 2, the Education Act. It just is too many to even go through. I finally have, quite frankly, quit putting things in my binder because my binder is getting too heavy for me to carry because of all of the correspondence we've had. I'm going to end by saying this. When we started speaking on Bill 2, the education minister made a comment in the legislature, and it's on the records of Hansard, that why would we, as the Wild Rose Party, bring forward an amendment in regards to the preamble when we had 16 months of consultation? What I found absolutely mind-boggling and hilarious is we had been dealing with an amendment, subsection A1, that the minister had tabled in the legislature only a couple days after he had tabled the legislation in regards to the preamble, and he's criticizing the Wild Rose for bringing a subsection A2 in regards to the preamble. And he was quite forceful on his criticism to the Wild Rose in regards to about all the consultation that he's done. Well, Mr. Chair, it's amazing to me if the minister has done so much darn consultation on this bill, why we're hearing from the Catholic school parents, the Christian school parents, the homeschooler parents, the charter school parents, parents in general that are very, very concerned in regards to where this Education Act is going in regards to the preamble, Section 16. So with that, Mr. Chair, on behalf of the constituents of Calgary Fish Creek, on behalf of the parents that at 10 to 10 are still sitting very patiently in the gallery listening to what's going on, thank you. And on behalf of all of the parents in this province, and we appreciate your time, we appreciate your dedication, and more importantly, we appreciate you as parents.